E vocês, como é que estão?
Estamos bem.
Tudo bem.
Boa. Hello, everyone. I think we're live. Yeah. So, hey, thank you, everyone, to be here. We are really happy to celebrate the 2 years of Dimion in Portugal. And to do so, we are going to have 3 different talks. We're going to have this one, being a student entrepreneur. And we have 2 really good participants here in the talk. We have João Silva, CEO of Careforce. João, can you say hello?
Hey guys, my name is João.
Thank you, João. And we have also Joana from Nova SBE, Entrepreneur Hub. Joana, can you say hello to everyone?
Of course. Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have prepared this pool here of entrepreneurs and people we deal with students and deal with universities, especially to talk about the difficulties that people has when starting a company during university, during they are already still studying. And I would like actually to ask João and Joana to like a really short introduction, just to mention why they're here basically, and to talk a little bit more in 1 minute about the trajectory before Careforce, and that's it. João, can you start?
Okay, so I'm João, I'm 24 years old. I'm from Coimbra, Portugal. I have a bachelor degree in economics and I have 2 masters in management and finance in Portugal and also France. And I'm currently the co-founder and COO of Careforce, but before I already worked for some corporate companies as Remax and Jerónimo Martins, but also co-founded another startup, which was Lost Zoc.
Perfect. Joana.
Yeah, sure. So I forgot to say happy birthday, Dimion. I won my introduction. So I was a student at Nova. I did my bachelor's and my master's at Nova. And then I left for the corporate world. I mean, first for a small boutique consulting firm on innovation, and then for the corporate world, I did almost 2 years of financial services consulting. Afterwards, I was invited to come back to Nova and start what is now Entrepreneurship Hub with an amazing team. And what we do is basically we curate the whole entrepreneurship experience in the school and the relationship of the school and the role that the school has to play in the startup ecosystem.
Thank you, Joana. Thank you, João.
You're welcome.
And I am Felipe. I am the CEO and co-founder of NetworkMe. Basically, we are a platform that helps students to find out what they want to do after college. And also, I am a student entrepreneur. I founded my first company when I was 17 to 18 years old back in Brazil. I'm Brazilian. And afterwards, I founded NetworkMe while studying in ISEG. I studied, my bachelor's degree was in management. And also, when finishing, what I found out is that many students, they want to be entrepreneurs, right? But they don't have the support. And also when it's something that is really scary, and it's something that we are going to talk a little bit here. João, can you talk a little bit, how did you get in this journey? How did you get in this scary journey of being an entrepreneur?
So my journey began at 19 when I returned from Barcelona from doing the Erasmus program. After making friends from different backgrounds and cultures, I noticed that they did a lot of challenges that Portuguese people were not used to. They were used to start working after they were 18 and to finish the school. And I thought that was really important for them to learn new skills. And at 17, I had the idea of creating a lost and found platform. After facing a problem that was having lost my citizen card and not being able to find it, but I didn't know how to make it happen. I could not do code, and I was in economics. So when I came back from Barcelona, I applied to some entrepreneurship programs and didn't pass. It's normal at the beginning. So I gave up on that idea for 1 year until I started my master's in management at ISCTE, and then the colleague challenged me to participate in IACHN, which most of you probably know is a program organized by the students with the support of Vodafone Power Labs, which is an incubator, which I finished. I ended up being on the second place and won the incubation. So I finally felt after those 2 years, 3 years with that idea, that I had everything to work out, but I was wrong. My partner, which was a computer scientist, dropped out a few days before the incubation started, and there I thought it was all over again. But then I went to startup events where I had the opportunity to meet some entrepreneurs and investors, and realized that it was normal. But then I got 3 partners, and after a few months, it was just one again. So, in other words, all this to say that my first experience was a roller coaster of emotions, but also Carrefour is normal to every day have a challenge, but it ends up being a little bit more controlled or predictable. But at the beginning was completely a mess.
Guys, if you want to ask questions for João or Joana, please, you can put in the chat. But João, it's really normal for an entrepreneur, being a student or not, to be this roller coaster. But I believe that if you're a student, you're not as used to this kind of sentiments, right? This kind of roller coasting stuff. And I believe that many universities, we have different kinds of support. And we can experience here with Nova a different support than most of universities, right? Joana, can you talk a little bit more about how in Nova, how in the Nova Entrepreneurship Hub, do you support the students to be an entrepreneur?
Yeah, sure. So the problem that you had, João, was exactly what we were facing some years ago at Nova. So for us, and even now, it's not so normal. I mean, the biggest percentage of students are not entrepreneurs. They will go to a normal corporate career or to any other career, even a startup or whatever. But the majority are not entrepreneurs, of course. But what we've been seeing is an increase of the number of students willing to pursue careers connected with entrepreneurship, being working in a startup, even if it is like a very early stage startup. It's like a thrilling environment that they feel challenged and they feel that they have an impact on. So the interest on those kind of careers is raising, but also the interest of creating their own business and starting their career as their own bosses, let's say, and that is a rising trend that we have picked it out and we have understood that was coming, and so we understood also that we should do something about it, and we should provide an experience to students that will support them along the way. So all the great schools that you know, if you think about the top schools in the world, if you think about Harvard, for instance, all of them have big centers for entrepreneurship that support these students, because we know that although this is not like the majority of the people, we know that these people have a high impact in the world and are building and contributing to innovation and highly contributing to dynamic economies, to build employment, etc. And because of that, we started to understand that these entrepreneurs exist, and now how can we support them? And basically at Nova, we start every year in September with what we call a community of entrepreneurs. It's called Makers in the Making. And even before the students arrive, we tell them, okay, there is this thing. So if you want to become an entrepreneur, or if you are already an entrepreneur, because it also happens, students that come to the school and they already have a business, you can enroll here and be part of a community. And basically this community, the first thing that it does is identify all these people and put them all together in a place so that they can engage with each other, know the other students that they can meet in the corridors that are also entrepreneurs, and all this sense of community for us, it's the first goal and very, very important one. And then, of course, we add some things. So we have some meetup events to foster this community. We have workshops with tools that help them throughout the journey. We have mentoring sessions with our team from Entrepreneurship Hub to help them guide the way. But also we connect them to other entrepreneurs, specific entrepreneurs, if there's the need for that. And then we also have some big networking events. We have a pitch day and we have a mentor madness event that basically increase the network and expose students to external people from the school so that they can receive a lot of feedback. Let me just add one last thing, which is besides Makers in the Making, we also have, of course, a growing number of courses, so classes in the school that support students in this journey, that teach them how, basic things like lean startup or marketing tools, or I don't know, many tools and knowledge that is important for entrepreneurs is also being included in the academic program, if you may say.
That's amazing. I don't know if you could agree with me, João, but it looks a lot like all startups in Damien. When you started to talk about that, about the putting entrepreneurs together and etc., it reminded me a lot of Damien. I don't know if everyone that is watching us know about All Startup, but All Startup is all about putting also entrepreneurs together. And I believe that the first step that Joana said, that identifying those students and putting these people together to work, and then afterwards give some guidelines, is something really, really important. And I believe that every student that can and wants to be an entrepreneur should have this kind of experience. So what Nova Entrepreneurship Hub is doing is completely amazing. I'm a fan of your job, guys. So João, I'm going a little bit out of our script here. Sorry, Faneca, but I'm going a little bit off here. João, do you believe that if you had this kind of help when you were a student, do you think that there should be, I don't know, that you would change your perspective and it wouldn't be this super roller coaster, as you said?
Of course, it will help a lot. It's different. So a few years ago, it didn't exist, I can say, in Portugal. And I was studying in Coimbra, which is one of the best incubators in the world, which is the Instituto Pedro Nunes. So we already have a lot of knowledge and access to know-how from this top incubator in Portugal. But I would say it would make a difference for sure. But one problem that I see on the university side is when someone applies to a program and the idea it's not accepted, there is not a kind of mentorship that says, okay, your idea was not accepted, but you can be a good entrepreneur with other idea, or your idea just need to improve a little bit more on this area or this. So I think it's something on that side that could make the entrepreneur believe that he can be successful with any other idea.
I super agree with you, João. Guys, everyone that is watching us can put questions in the chat. I will see everyone. I saw here that Mariana sent us a question, and I think it was directed to Joana. So Joana, Mariana Silva asked us, how to know if the business, that idea that you have has a good business potential? I believe that she's asking for a startup business, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's a tricky question, and we don't have superpowers to guess what is going to be a success. And so the first thing, and when we work with early stage at Nova, we mostly do that. So it's ideas or projects that are just starting. It's very hard to guess if it's going to be okay or not, and if it's going to be successful or not. So basically what we do is to understand if the entrepreneur has what it takes in order to build the business. And for that, it has to have this creative confidence that you were talking about, João. So the confidence that, okay, if it's not this, then I will be able to do another thing. And then, of course, if he has the endurance to go for it, and also if he's able, or if he is passionate about the problem and not about the idea. And I think this is a very important thing, because the first idea that you get in your mind will probably not be the one that is going to work. So we work very hard with students on this idea stage to really guarantee that they are in love with the problem that they are solving and not with the idea or the solution that they have in mind. So I believe that this is a key to success, is to really understand and define and very well know the problem that you're solving, and at the same time guarantee that this problem is relevant, that this problem is not only yours, but it is a common problem for a lot of people, or at least enough people to make it a business. And don't ask me what is enough people. It depends, of course. If it is a small niche and you can pay like a very high, and you can charge a very high price, maybe there is a business and it's interesting. So I don't have any magic formula. I would say that this is really important, the creative confidence in order to endure in all the things that are coming, all the difficult times, and the focus on the problem and not on the solution. Maybe.
Being with the problem, not with your product. It's cliche, but that's it.
It's completely cliche. But
yeah, completely cliche.
But no one remembers when we're starting a business. No one remembers that part.
Yeah. So we talked here that it's kind of difficult to be an entrepreneur, that you have to identify a problem, that if you want to be a startup, you need to talk about scalability and you need to think about that. That maybe your first idea is not the one that is going to solve the problem. But also we have a lot of good parts of being an entrepreneur, right? And especially if you are a young person. João, do you believe that we have some positive parts of being a student entrepreneur?
I don't believe. I know that being a young entrepreneur is great. It's really helpful during your lifetime. I like to use the word hunger, because that means if you start early, in the future that follows, you will be more ambitious. You are willing to fight more for what you like to do and to become bigger in every business that you create. So it gives you persistence. You learn to fail early on and to go for what you believe in. You become a flexible person because you have to adapt quickly to new problems that arise. You develop communication skills because you will have to sell your product or service to any potential clients. You will learn new skills because if you don't know how to code, you will have to use a no-code platform. If you don't know how to do a post on Instagram, how to create a post, you will learn Photoshop. You will learn how to create a company because you don't learn that during any classes in the university. You are going to learn legal, accountant. You are going to learn so many things that it will give you access to a well of knowledge that few young people of the same age or generation have access to. So your creativity will not stop growing. And there is this networking, which is very relevant. And everyone mentions when they are on the startup, they have startups, because networking helps you grow, because you are going to learn from other people that are doing the same thing. And you are going to learn from different areas that it will help you to create other business in the future. So I see to create a startup or start being a young entrepreneur, it will launch you on your career as an entrepreneur or working for any other company. That's for sure.
Amazing, João. Amazing. What I want you to think about 3 different tips of how being a student entrepreneur, João, but don't say now. Okay, we are only going to say your tips by the end. So I'm not releasing the gold for everyone. They will have to stay in our conversation here till the end. So João, please pick up a piece of paper, open a block note. I don't know, but put 3 tips, of João of being a student entrepreneur. Will be fun. And Joana, do you believe that is also a positive side of being a student entrepreneur?
Yeah, for sure. Otherwise, my work wouldn't mean anything. But no, I really believe. University and being in the school is a privileged environment to start anything. You are surrounded by an amazing network of other students, of people that are always coming to the uni, of guests that are coming to your classes, of guests that are coming to inspire you in your career, whatever. So you're full of network around, and I think this is a very important piece. The other thing is you're full of knowledge and knowledgeable people around and specialists. So you have a lot of professors, you have the assistant professors, you have the staff of the school, you have everybody around that knows a lot what they're doing. They are professionals and they are much eager to help you and to support you. And I think that the fact that all these staff and faculty are there for you, it's an amazing privilege to grab the opportunity to build a business. Then, of course, I think it's a great timing. Although the masters and the programs are really demanding, I think it's a great timing for you to start. You have nothing to lose. You're learning a lot, and part of your journey, your learning journey, can also be starting your own business. So I believe that in terms of timing, it's also very good, because the opportunity cost is not a very fancy employer or something like that, or a very fancy job. Is your learning journey. So it kind of completes this learning journey. So yeah, I would say that there are a lot of advantage of being in the school. Yeah. And I always say to students, let me just tell you this, which is even when you're validating and you need to talk with people or to talk with companies, it can be very useful to be in a school because you still don't have a project, you don't have a brand, but you have the brand of the school in your back. So basically you can say, okay, I'm a student at Nova, or I'm a student at ISCTE or whatever, and I'm trying this new idea, or I'm starting this project, or I'm working on this project. Could you give me 5 minutes of your time for an interview? And it's much, much easier when you have a strong brand on your back rather than when you're just like a solo entrepreneur starting. It's not impossible, but it's more difficult. So I think it's also a great thing to take advantage of.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, here we in Network Me, when we started the project 1 year and a half ago, the first thing that we did was actually we interviewed 500 students, and we did some partnerships with ISEG, which was my first my university, ISCTE, and with Technical. So I super agree with you, because we were like, okay, we are students, we are doing something for the students. Do you have some 5 minutes to help us and do some market research? So for sure, being a student entrepreneur, we have some advantages, but also we have a lot of opportunities. Sometimes the students, as Joana said, they don't think about the learning experiment that they're going to have during this incubation part or during this exploration part. And sometimes we only think that we can learn a lot in big companies like consultant firms and etc. But that's not entirely true. We can help and we can learn different things being an entrepreneur, and also because of the opportunities like being in Nova Entrepreneurship Hub, or also by doing an all startup program in Damien or in other incubations. Joana, do you believe that we have enough incentives here in Portugal to help students to be an entrepreneur, not only in Nova Entrepreneurship Hub, but other incentives that you know?
Yes, yes, I think we can do more for sure. I think there's room for more, but I think there's already a great base to start, and a great group of institutions and of teams that support student entrepreneurs, like you were saying, DMIM, or we at Nova. We also have Entrepreneurship Hub, or other schools that have incubators and etc. It's a great start, and this part of the confidence that we talked about before and the network part is really, really important. I believe maybe in terms of finance to start a business, maybe it's a little bit more tricky. And we have some support. We have the startup voucher, for instance, from Startup Portugal, and it's an interesting, very interesting incentive, but it's not accessible to everyone. There's a selection, etc., and it's not that easy to enter. So I think, of course, we have already have an environment and an ecosystem and institutions and teams taking care of all the support the students need. I would say that if I would change anything, or if I would improve something right now, probably would be the finance part. And then, of course, the exchange of students, because sometimes I feel that our students in the business school don't have much contact with the students from engineering or from art or etc. So probably I would also do something to gather all these students together. I would say these two things: the finance and the more diverse network between schools.
Between schools, for sure. This is something that we were also talking the other day, right, Joana, that some universities, they don't have the entrepreneurship experience like you guys have. But I believe that nowadays the universities are changing, and they are going more towards this entrepreneurship spirit, as we said. And I agree with you, the part of the financial statements, but also I will disagree with you in a certain way, that not every startup, they need financials at day one, right? So sometimes people, when they have an idea, they were like, oh my God, I need money, I need to have investment and etc. Why not bootstrap a little bit, and why not try to sell a little bit your idea, and then from this revenue build a small team, then build a small MVP. Sometimes you don't need this kind of investments to start. They need, and to have a little product market fit, and then afterwards go for the investment.
Completely agree with you. Yeah, Flip. I was just saying, like, sometimes the decision process of doing it or not, it depends a lot with the financial part, which is obvious. So if there was like a tiny incentive that would make the decision a little bit easier, maybe I think we would have more entrepreneurs out of the school. But I completely agree with you, and we are completely towards that of the bootstrapping part, even more because we have no engineering students in our school, so they have to learn a lot and then they have to bootstrap a lot on that technical part. So I totally agree with you, totally.
No,
It's a
but
struggle for many startups. Well,
one thing, no, it's just something that everyone when starts a company or wants to develop a business idea thinks, I cannot do it because I don't have money. That was something that I thought when I created Lostock on the first few months. I thought I cannot do it. I need to have money, and I went to talk with investors, and they were saying, "No, you need to sell first." And I was like, "How can I sell if I don't have money to develop the product?" And that's a challenge that we all young entrepreneurs face. But when you have some people that say, challenge yourself, you can do it without any money. You should just need to search for it on Google or to do a platform or to, it depends, of course, if it's a website or a platform or marketplace, wherever. If it is a product, okay, you need to bootstrap with some money or even go ask for investment, but you have a good research already on your problem and on your solution. But usually you don't need money. That was something that I thought also.
yeah, and also we have some good opportunities, as Joana said. Like for example, in Demian, if you go through an all startup process and you get approved, then you're going to go to the incubation program, and then afterwards, after 3 to 6 months, you can have a 100K investment. And during this period, to 3 months to 6 months, you're gonna have different advisors, and you have a whole team helping you to do this kind of bootstraps, which I believe is also what you do in Nova Entrepreneurship Hub, right, Joana?
Yeah, more or less. I mean, I think we and Demium are kind of complementary.
Yeah.
We also, like I said, we also have this community that gathers all the students and guarantees that all the students, entrepreneurs in the school, know each other and they can share with each other, be with each other, work with each other, etc. And that, I think it's really important for you when you go in the corridor and you see someone that is doing the same master as you're doing or the same program that you're doing, and is also suffering the cost of being an entrepreneur, so having to hustle on the side. I think it's really good, and the connection is really good. So in that aspect of community, yes. And then on the aspect of guiding them through the entrepreneurial journey, also, of course. But I believe that at Demium, when you have to commit 100% to the project, it's a step ahead. So I would say that our students, when they finish our programs, they can still be in our community, but when they are ready to dedicate to their projects, or at least try it out in a more in a full-time basis, let's say, I would say that they are ready to go to Demium. And however, we also have like the thesis. They can do the thesis while they're working on their projects. But I would say that Demium and these kind of programs are a really good complement to what we do.
Super agree with you. It would be a nice idea. Imagine if you are doing your master's degree, you have a support during your master's, you can do your thesis, and afterwards you go to Demian and you have a different kind of support, more serious kind of support maybe. And then after access to the finance, which we talked, which is the most difficult part for someone that is starting the company. So we kind of make the trajectory here, guys. So it's not, we were like, whoa, it's super holocausting to be a student entrepreneur. And then we just talked about different supports here, startup voucher, being in Demian, being in Nova Entrepreneurship Hub, and etc. I believe that we are going more and more in this direction of support for young people to be entrepreneurs. A fun fact here, I don't know if you know that, but in Brazil, 60% of the PIB, of the, how can I say PIB in English, guys? I forgot the name.
Me too.
GDP, economy.
GDP, yeah.
GDP. 60% of the GDP in Brazil is from small and medium companies, PMEs. So this is something actually really cool, because Brazil is basically supported on entrepreneurship, on being like a small, medium company and then start to grow is something really cool. And it's something that I believe that here in Portugal, we are starting to see some things like that, some movement going to entrepreneurship movement in Portugal. João, when you were doing like your bachelor's degree, you had another idea before Careforce, right?
Yeah, it was the Lost and Found platform.
And what was the difference in the structure, in the support that you had in Careforce and the idea before?
Was
That's a tricky
it's
question,
too
right?
different. It's too different because I got more experience with working for other companies. I got more know-how, more people in my life that were related with startups. But the sport compared with it's a tough question because Limium it's prepared to do this for the entrepreneurs. They are prepared to look at one person and see this guy can be an entrepreneur and this guy cannot be, or it's more difficult to be a successful entrepreneur. And they will match you with your co-founder. So me and Pedro, we were matched through Limium. We didn't know each other before, and in 3 months we managed to create a platform without knowing any code. We got our first client. We got our first nurses applying through the platform, and we raised 100K investment. So it's a crazy journey during 3 to 4, 5 months with Imium because it's more intensive. Let's say this way. In university, you are studying, you have the idea, you are talking with someone, but it's not like fully dedicated to only that project.
Very good example. João, you wrote the tips that you have for the someone to be, but don't do it. Don't say it right now. Just
Okay.
asking if you wrote it. Did you?
Yeah, got it.
Yeah. Okay. So we are going back to these tips that João wrote about how to be a student entrepreneur in a minute. Okay. But before that, I would like to make another question to Joana. That is, what do you believe, Joana, that could be a good how can I express that? Is how do you think it could be a good, how to identify a good co-founder while you are in university, because sometimes you have some ideas and you have some cool friends, but sometimes your friend is not your ideal co-founder, right? So what would be your ideal advice for someone who wants to find a co-founder inside or during the university?
That's a tricky one also. But I would say that the first thing would be to have a same or at least a similar passion for the problem that you identified. So if that person connects with the problem that you're trying to solve, I think it's halfway through. So if they are really motivated to solve that problem as you are, I think if you are aligned in that, I think it's halfway through, and it's very important. Then I would say it would be good if you have some complementary skills. I think it's the best part. So if someone is more towards business and the other one is more tech, it's the perfect combination. If someone is more business but more financial and the other one it's more like a sales or a marketeer, can also be a great combination. So I would say that the complementary skills, it's also really, really good, so that you, since the beginning, you really know the role you have to play in the team, and you can very well complement each other. Let me see if I have another tip. Then I think, in terms of probably goals and aspirations and vision of the business is also very important. So that you, since the beginning, you're very transparent with each other and you really understand that you are aligned. Okay, we want to build $1 billion company, or we want to build like a lifestyle business, a small thing that is not never going to be very big. I don't want to internationalize, or I really want to internationalize. So these kind of questions and this kind of ambition and vision and long-term goals for the business and how they see the business evolving a long time, I would say is also a very, very important thing to guarantee that you're aligned on. Yeah.
So let me say if I got right, okay? It's like you need to find a person that is passionate with the same problem that you have, right? You need to find someone that is as ambitious as you are, like in terms of goals, right? And you need to find someone that is as crazy as you are in terms of working or in terms of like betting everything in the idea, right?
Yeah, and that can complement you in the skills. I think that part is very
and the complementary skills, for sure. Yeah, I super agree with you, guys. If you have questions, you can put in the YouTube chat. Okay, I saw that Pedro Leal sent a question. I will read it in 2 minutes. But first, let's listen to João and his tips of how to be a great student entrepreneur.
So, at least this is what I think it's the best tips. At least if I was a young student when I was back in time. So first, I think is do what excites. So you need to do something that really excites you to wake up in the morning and go study while you are a student, but also to become an entrepreneur on your side hustle. Then you need to look for problems that are not only your problems. So if you find a problem on your way to university, think if other students or other people are facing that problem and how you could solve it. You cannot think only about yourself. And other things, I have more than three, but you need to talk about. You need to talk with everyone that you know about your ideas. You don't have to worry if your ideas are the best or you think that someone is going to steal your ideas. That doesn't happen. When I first reached out to an investor 3 years ago, I was like, I have a business idea, it's great. And he asked me, what's this your business idea? And I said, I don't know if I can tell. And he said to me, okay, so why are you talking with me if you cannot tell your ideas? So it's something that everyone faces when they have their first business idea, because they think, I have the $1 million idea. No, you don't, or at least most of the times you don't. Some probably yes. So that's it. And also, to be a young entrepreneur, student entrepreneur, you you cannot think about startups as a way to make money, because I see that many young students want to create a startup just because they know that some entrepreneurs become millionaires, but that most of the time doesn't happen. So create something that can have an impact on the society, because money, if you do something great, money will be just a consequence. Because I see many of the young people want to become successful, but they are not willing to go through sacrifices of not going out with your friends, not go to a birthday party, to be working during the summer without holidays. And for me, if you love something and if you love what the problem you are solving, that's not going to be a problem. So go through it, and you can do it.
Boa. Nice. Oh, I would switch to Portuguese. João, I super agree with you, especially in the part that you say that sometimes people, they are a little bit afraid of telling the idea, right? And to have feedback and to ask someone that is more experienced, this person is not going to steal your idea, guys. Like in 99.9% of cases, execution is everything. The idea itself doesn't value anything. You need to bring the right idea with the right team, with the execution, and then afterwards is something that is going to happen with time. So we have a question here that Pedro Leal put. I will ask João first, but I would also want to have the opinion of Joana, which is, João, what do you think there are the biggest hurdles of an entrepreneur faces in Portugal, and what should be changed, like, for example, bureaucracies, tax systems, lack of capital, and etc. Joana said it was like the finance part, but I will ask her again to elaborate a little bit more. But João, in your opinion?
That's a tough question. That's a really good question. So first, I would say the market size. It's a small country, Portugal. It is, because if you compare Portugal with Brazil, you are comparing 10 million people with 240 million. It's a big difference. So your market is much smaller. But also, I think Portugal is nowadays, it's not that difficult to create a company. It's really fast comparing with many countries. So, and you have easy access to many people on your LinkedIn and your networking. Since we are also a small country, it helps to get to directors of big companies. It's much faster and easier. So it has a pros and cons. In terms of growth, it's a cons, but in terms of validate your idea and test it on the markets, it's much faster. You have easy access to them. In terms of bureaucracies, I think we already have some improvements. Okay, the taxes are high for small companies. We have the startup voucher that helps something, but I don't see that is enough for all the entrepreneurs that we want to have in Portugal. At least I applied a few times, and I didn't get it because it's normal. It's many people applying. I think we could have some type of access to young students, entrepreneurs that really want to create something and but have bills to pay because everyone has bills to pay. So we could try to create something for young students. That's for sure because we have nothing especially just for this type of entrepreneurs. That's true.
I agree with you. Before Joana give her answer, I'd just like to compliment that I think that the market size for Portugal is really nice to test out things, right? So if you want to do like, if you want to build something that is global, you can test and use the market share, the market size in Portugal as a test to build something global. And I believe that here in Portugal, if we think a little bit about the unicorns that were built here, they were built here to be global, right? If we think about OutSystems, think about Farfetch. Oh, sorry, City thought that I was talking to her, but yeah. Can you hear me? Confirm?
No, it
No?
went
More or
slower.
less.
Yeah.
More or less, it was City. Sorry, can you hear me?
Now it's better.
No, it's good. Yeah.
It was City. Sorry. So I agree with you in this point that if someone wants to build a product in Portugal and validate and test really quickly to build something global, it's an amazing market size. Like it's a pro and con at the same time. And what do you think, Joana? What would be
Just one thing, sorry, Joan, but another promise that I didn't tell about Portugal is the qualified people that we have. We have a lot of qualified people in Portugal that can help you make the perfect team that you need to make your product go worldwide. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Joana?
Yeah. From what I've seen in my experience with startups, I agree with João. I mean, the creation of a company, etc., could be better, could be much better, but I think it's not the worst one. And I think entrepreneurs can go through it, so it's not a big disadvantage. I would say that probably the network in terms of other entrepreneurs, so also the ecosystem is still very small. So if after some time you get to know all the people in the ecosystem, and you need more people to talk to or more people to get feedback from or to connect you with another one. So I would say the size of the ecosystem that is increasing is still very small, and I think we would benefit a lot from more entrepreneurs, more people building stuff and creating and experimenting, etc. And related to that, I would also say that having more great examples of entrepreneurs being successful or not, but people trying, can also inspire new generations and new entrepreneurs to be perseverant and to start something. So I would say that having more entrepreneurs to look up for, if they have been very successful or not, but I would say that this is a thing that we have to grow, to inspire more entrepreneurs to start their own businesses. So it's not like very bureaucratic or institutional kind of problems, I would say. This is more kind of our size and the normal evolution of the ecosystem. I think our ecosystem is evolving and growing. And for sure, in some years, we will have more of these cases. And also all the other things, if we have more entrepreneurs creating stuff, all the other things that go around the finance and the institutional work and the bureaucracy, etc., will also improve. So I think this is like a proportional kind of relation. I'm not very pessimistic about the ecosystem.
No, I'm also really optimistic because if we look back for 2 years ago from now, we didn't have Damien, for example, which gives like amazing opportunity to not only students but every entrepreneur, and actually many other opportunities that were not like that accessible 2, 3, 4 years ago. In Nova Entrepreneurship Hub, for example, Joana, how long in living do you have?
We are going to be 4 years in 2021, May 2021. So we are 3 years and a half, more or less.
Yeah. So it's something also that was recent, really recent. So if we think that in the last 1 year we are in pandemics and that we are growing in opportunities, which is actually the question that Francisco put here in the chat, Francisco Capanisso, if I pronounce it correctly. He asked, how COVID-19 pandemic affected the opportunities for entrepreneurs in the Portuguese startup ecosystem? This is a really good question, actually, and I will first answer myself, and then I will give to João to answer also in his opinion, because we in Network Me, we were like born during the pandemics. We were born and we raised money during the pandemics, and we were able to raise it 160k euros by the end of last year, and also we saw many other colleagues of ours in Demian to raise some money also in the same time or in the last few months. So we believe that there is a lot of opportunity. João, can you talk a little bit about the opportunities that you saw in Careforce?
Yeah, so basically we were also born during the pandemic, and it's known worldwide that during crisis time, it's the best time to create business, because you see a lot of opportunities, you see a lot of problems. So there is a lack of answers to those problems, and you can try to build your solution for that problems. As Careforce were born due to a problem that we saw that was more that had more awareness during COVID, and it's something that you can see a lot of times. I see crisis as always an opportunity to create business. All the great business are created during this time, and we saw that was an exponential growth to create business startups in Portugal and worldwide. I think I can say that due to COVID, because healthcare needed to develop products, services. Everyone was locked at their place, so services needed to get to the final customer in a faster and easier way. So there are a lot of opportunities when something like this happens, and if it happens again in 2 years or 3 years, I hope not, but new startups are going to born because the problems are different and solutions need to be also different.
That's true. And Joana, do you want also to complement here?
Maybe just one quick thing, which is there were also a lot of startups that suffered with the pandemic, of course, because the consumption was much inferior. And if you think about tourism tech startups, for instance, it was really hard moments for them. But I think that at the same time, there was also the opportunity to reinvent. And I think that the startups that have gone through this period are coming out stronger and have probably revisited their business models and their business strategies and etc. And I think it was also very hard for some, and we have been close to some startups for which it was really hard. But at the same time, they found ways to improve their businesses and to prepare their businesses for the future and for something like this that can happen again.
That's also really. That's also true. And in Brazil, we have, I don't know if you have the same expression here in Portugal, but it's like sailor that is bathed in a good wave is not a good sailor, or something like maré boa não faz marinheiro bom, or alguma coisa assim. So it's something that, like, if you're born in the crisis, if you're born in something that is tougher than the usual, you are going to be stronger when things calm down. So this is also really important, that people that raised money, people that are building solutions, especially students that are more creative, maybe, that has less to lose, as Joana said, like the opportunity cost of a student of doing something and of being like a student entrepreneur, it's way more attractive than maybe someone that has 2 kids and someone that has like a lot of expenses to deal with. So the opportunity, I like really much what Joana said about the opportunity cost. I will start to talk about that also, because it's really nice to make this analogy. So guys, in this session today, we discovered that we have a lot of opportunities, not only in this crisis, not only because of COVID, but because the opportunities, they are growing in Portugal, right? And not only for students, but for every entrepreneur. But if you are a student, you can have access to many supports. You just have also to look for it, and you have to be ambitious enough and be proactive enough to look for it. And Joana also gave like amazing tips if you want to choose a co-founder, right? If you want to choose a co-founder during university, which is something kind of hard, I would tell you, it's not easy to find a co-founder during the university. So if the universities, they started to build like these entrepreneurship programs to interact with people that are as crazy as you are, and as we were talking, and as ambitious as you are, and has a complementary set of skills, this is something that could be a game changer for all the entrepreneurs there. Imagine if we had 20 hubs of entrepreneurs in different universities. Imagine how many startups could show up of founders that are students.
And imagine how many problems in the world would be solved.
Yeah, imagine how the holophons, how the lights would be here in Portugal of this strong community that is growing, right? Because in Portugal we have Web Summit, we have a Demian here for 2 years, we have a lot of different programs that are coming for here, and if we started to grow this sense of community, we are only going to get stronger. Leo Capelossi said here, mar calmo não faz bom marinheiro. This was the expression that I was talking 5 minutes ago, right? Thank you, Leo. Guys, this was the being a student entrepreneur. I will please ask João. João, do you have something like a closing line for our session? Do you want something to be like your last tip for everyone?
Let me think. I would say don't give up at the first challenge. Yeah, because you will face a lot of challenge while developing a business idea or implementing it. That's for sure.
Way to go. Joana, do you have like a phrase also?
Yeah, I do. If you're not clear if you're going to grab a job or start a business, I would say go for start a business, because this is the right timing to do it. So if you're deciding on your career and you have an idea that you're passionate about and you have a great proposal for a company, I would say that this is the great time to give it a try on your idea.
Very good. I would say actually, if you let me also give like a phrase to finish the session, I would say focus in getting better every day. You're not going to be like the best one. You won't have like there will be always someone smarter and with more resources than you. Keep that in mind. There will always be, but you can improve every day. You have time. You are a student. You don't have to have all the resources. You don't have to be the smartest person in the room. So you just have to focus in being better every day and find people that wants to be better every day. And so your business will be better every day also. So this was the first day of the Demian Talks, and on Wednesday we are going to have another session. We are going to have the importance of community in Wednesday, and hope that you're here with us again on Wednesday. And thank you very much